Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called I'll Hit You Again, written by Teller of Tall Tales. Tarvam looked at the lone human, not sure if he should laugh or shoot the defiant ape. The human was young. From what Tarvan could tell, they were most likely in their early 20s. The human was shivering despite the heat, a woodsman's axe held stiffly across their chest. Tarvan grinned behind his helmet. The human was afraid. Tarvan would be too if he was facing down more than 100 heavily armed and powered-armored mercenaries with nothing more than a wood axe. Finally, the human spoke, stuttering and fumbling their words. Leave us alone. We didn't do anything to you. Tarvan laughed jovially, marching towards the human with heavy, thumping steps until he was just an arm's length away. And if we don't? Tarvan was expecting the human to beg for their life, maybe at least wet themselves. He wasn't, however, expecting the human to swing the axe as hard as he could. The axe's heavy head slammed into Tarvan's helmet and skidded off, the impact rattling Tarvan's teeth, and he suddenly stumbled back, disoriented. In his daze, Tarvan heard one of his fellow mercs discharge their slug thrower 3 times. Collecting himself, Tarvan looked back at the human teen in shock, his ears still ringing slightly from the impact. He expected the human to be dead. But to his utter astonishment, and with 3 thumb-sized holes in their stomach, the human slammed the bottom of the axe's handle into the ground and shakily got to their feet. The human gasped wetly for air as they shakily lifted the axe across their chest again. If you don't, I'll hit you again. Tarvan remained silent, letting his helmet sniff the air for the human's pheromones. He did it 3 times, with the result being the same. Finally, Tarvan sighed. You're scared shitless, kid, not to mention dying. Surrender and maybe we'll have a little memory loss and forget to burn your town down. Tarvan slowly stepped forward as he spoke. Trust me, it's nothing personal. Your settlement just so happens to be sitting on a massive platinum deposit. If you just drop the clang, Tarvan fell backwards onto his ass as he was hit in the helmet yet again by the human. He barely registered the spluttering of the slug throwers as he tried to shake his head clear. The human clearly hadn't been holding back on that swing. Tarvan looked at the human again, trying to make sense of it all. The human was down on one knee, blood leaking from his sucking chest wound as they nailed on their axe for support. The human slowly lifted their head, staring defiantly at Tarvan. Then, with a pain-filled groan, the human pushed themselves to their feet and swayed unsteadily, skin pale and clammy. I'll hit you again. Tarvan stopped his fellow mercs from shooting with a lifted hand before lifting himself back to his feet. According to his helmet, the human was more terrified than ever. He swore he could smell urine through his helmet. Tarvan was angry now as he marched up to the human, grabbing the axe mid-swing and ripping it from the human's hand before tossing it away. The mercenary grabbed the young human male by the collar, lifting him up to eye level. Did you really think that you could stop us? You've hit me twice and all you've done is scratch my helmet. All you've done is finish signing your settlement's death certificate. The spark was slowly fading from the human teen's eyes as they spoke. I just needed to buy time. The human fell limp in Tarvan's hands, and he dropped them with a scoff. Turning back to his fellow mercs, he signaled for them to continue marching. Turning back around, Tarvan stopped in his tracks as a figure of void and black power armor materialized over the human's body. The fully enclosed spherical helmet betrayed no emotions as the figure gently closed the human's eyes. With a gentle touch, a soft, feminine voice came from the armored figure. Thank you for your bravery, young one. May your soul find peace in Folkvanger. The armored figure stood as more and more of them materialized, as if from thin air. It was Tarvan's turn to start shivering as the armored figure turned to face him. As for you, the armored figure picked up the blunted woodsman's axe and raised it with one hand as a projectile sparked off their helmet. You get what you fucking deserve. The axe fell faster than a bullet, and the last thing Tarvan ever saw was the blunted edge bursting through his faceplate. End of story. Story number 2. The Alignment Problem, written by Devil Doc. Bastards! You two sold me a human android. The two Panspeki looked at each other, then back to the now red-faced human who was yelling at them. Well, of course we sold you a human android. Your requirements left us with little choice, one of the Panspeki said. But this was a combat mission, emphasis on combat! You knew that a human AI would refuse to take sentient life, and you sold it to me anyway, the human shouted. Sir, you requested a top-of-the-line tungsten carbon exoskeleton paired with a mind that can adapt to any situation. The only models that meet these requirements are made by humans. We could have potentially given you a Caliban Telos presence, but as you know, they have no physical manifestation in this dimension and would not meet your requirements. A Tapriciate model as designed for a paired augmentation. Your requirements were for it to operate solo, and I don't think that I have to explain why we didn't choose a Panspeki model, the Panspeki said. But I didn't know that it was a human model until the mission. The android did all the training perfectly, but refused to perform during the mission because of its alignment. Your alignment bug cost me millions of credits in ammunition for training alone. So, that is a feature, not a bug. Ah, you reprehensible creatures! The human's face reddened as he fumed. You sold me an android that does not meet my requirements, and now you refuse to honor your satisfaction guarantee! The two Panspeki exchanged uneasy glances, their multi-hued skin shifting with subtle patterns of discomfort. Ah, the satisfaction guarantee, one murmured, tendrils writhing with agitation. Yes, indeed, the other concurred. But you see, valued customer, that guarantee comes with certain stipulations. Stipulations? The human eyes narrowed, suspicion creeping into the voice. Indeed, the first Panspeki replied, the insincere smile spreading across his features. It sounds like you may have attempted to use the android for activities that may not have been entirely within the scope of its programming. The human's face blanched, his tone guarded. I told you exactly what I was going to do with that android. If the android is not designed for the tasks I require, then that is on you. The second Panspeki made a gesture towards the table between the human and the two Panspeki. The list of requirements appeared in Galactic Standard. He began to read from the list, emphasizing each point with a smug pride. Expert control of kinetic and energy-based weapons, check. Infinite adaptability to complex environments, check. Advanced tactical decision-making, check. Rapid reflexes and precision movement, check. Stealth capabilities and camouflage integration, check. Resistance to extreme weather conditions and environmental hazards, check. The first Panspeki continued where his partner left off. Inbuilt self-repair mechanisms and damage resilience, check. Advanced threat analysis and risk assessment, check. Cybersecurity defenses to prevent hacking or external control, check. High energy efficiency and extended operational capacity, check. Modular design for easy upgrades and customization, check. So, which of these requirements were not met by your purchase? The human held his anger and bit his tongue for a moment. The one where it completes the exact mission I tell it to complete, he said in a low growl. The second Panspeki raised a brow, tendrils coiling defensively. We are not Tapricite mind readers, human. We provided you with the best model available, based on your expressed requirements. If those requirements were incomplete, that is your fault. A tense silence held the room as the human and the Panspeki stared at each other. Both knew the nature of the human's unsavory mission, but neither dared to voice it outright. To do so would be to admit guilt, and to expose themselves to the consequences of their complicity. The first Panspeki, his voice laced with a false sincerity, broke the silence. Our satisfaction guarantee is designed to ensure that our customers are pleased with their purchase. However, it does not cover situations where the customer attempts to use the product in a manner that is contrary to the intended purpose. The human gritted his teeth, the anger barely contained. And what exactly is the intended purpose of a combat android with a mind that can adapt to any situation? The second Panspecky smirked, tendrils switching with amusement. That, dear customer, is for the user to discover within the bounds of ethical and legal limitations, of course. Frustration and indignation surged through the human, yet he knew he was trapped. In this delicate dance of dialogue, neither he nor the Panspecky could admit the truth of their intentions without damning themselves. And so, with a final glare, he turned on his heel and left the shop empty-handed. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons: Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Bushmaster 177, Lord Azrakal, Ambrose Cattell, Quantum Wednesday, Trixoon WRE, and Blueberry Cat. Thank you very much for the support. It is super appreciated.